Today in class we started talking about completing the square. What that meant is that we want to take some quadratic, let's put a B there for now, and we want to figure out what we could add here to make this a perfect square, so it'd factor in a perfect square. For example, if I had x squared plus 4x plus something, what could I add in order that when I factored this, it'd be something squared? Well, what that means, if you want to square something, you just basically have to take this number, double it, and you get this number, square it, and you get that number. But if I don't know that number, then I just take this number, 4 divided by 2, and square it. 4 divided by 2 is 2, squared is 4. I add 4 here. Now when I factor this, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 plus 2 is 4, so it's x plus 2 squared. And you can start completing the square. Why does this help us? This helps us because if this was an equation, like x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 12, then if I said that equals 12, I have to add 4 to both sides because I added 4 there. Well, that just gives me x plus 2 squared equals 16, and I can square root both sides, and I can solve this, and this is things that we've already done before. Subtract 2, negative 2 plus or minus 4, which is 2, or negative 6, and I can actually solve this quadratic, which is good, which is what we want. So we were doing this in class today. We want to turn things into perfect squares. To be able to do that, before we turn anything to a perfect square, two things you have to have: your quadratic, there has to be no constants. You have to move the constants to the other side, so no constants with the x's on that side. So you have to move any x's over. And second, no coefficient on the x squared. How about a 1 coefficient on the x squared? We need just a 1 in front of the x squared. So you got to have both of those things. Let's go ahead and work out a few of what these problems say on here. Number 1 said it gave you k squared plus 14k plus, it said fill in the blank, what would make that a perfect square? Well, you take the 14 divided by 2 and square it. 14 divided by 2 is 7, 7 squared is 49. And we've got it. Skip to 2, no, we won't skip to 2, we'll skip to 5. 5 says v squared plus 24v plus, and you gotta fill in the blank. Take half of 24 and square it. Half of 24 is 12, 12 squared is 144. So the answer, the number that we write is 144. After this, we have to start solving things. I worked out a lot of these in class. I'm gonna skip to 11 because that's one of the ones I didn't do in class. R squared plus 20r equals 261. Alright, well, all we have to do then is make sure that's a 1, which it is, and make sure all the constants are on their side, which they are. If I want to factor this, then I got to turn this into a perfect square. So I'm going to get r squared plus 20r plus fill in the blank equals 261. And whatever I add here, I have to add over here on this side as well. So what do I add? Take half of 20, square it. 20 divided by 2 is 10, 10 squared is 100. Add 100 there, add 100 there. Why do I do that? Because that makes this factor perfectly for me. R plus 10 squared. Because 10 times 10 is 100, 10 plus 10 is 20, equals 361. Square root both sides, this is old news. R plus 10 equals plus or minus 19. And subtract 10 from both sides. R equals negative 10 plus or minus 19, which means R equals 9 or negative 29. And those are our two solutions. We could skip, we can do more of these. Let's see, you also had to do number 13 and 15. How about 15? Because I didn't do that one either, so we'll go skip to 15. 15 said p squared minus 12p plus 11 equals 0. Subtract 11 from both sides. P squared minus 12p equals negative 11. What do I add to both sides to complete the square? On this one, take half and add and then square it. What's half of negative 12 squared? That's 6 squared is 36. Add 36 to both sides, I get p squared. Actually, when I factor this, I get p minus 6 squared equals 25. Now it's just solving square root both sides, and this is all stuff you can do on your own. P minus 6 equals plus or minus 5. Add 6 to both sides. 6 plus or minus 5, so your solution set. 6 plus 5 is 11, 6 minus 5 is 1, and those are your two solutions. And we have both of those things. As you skip and move on a little bit, like to number, you have to do 19 to 23. I'm just going to show 23 because if you can do 23, you can do 19 and 21. 23 says solve by completing the square. If you're going to solve by completing the square, you have to do a couple things. First, make sure that's a 1. Make sure the constants are on that side. The constants are on this side, but that's not a 1. How do I make it a 1? Divide everything by 3. I get q squared minus 4q equals 5. Now I can complete the square, and this is just like we've done before. What do I add to both sides? Q squared minus 4q plus 4 equals 5 plus 4y. Take negative 4, cut it in half, and square it, which is 4. You can factor this into q minus 2 squared equals 9. Radical. Q minus 2 equals plus or minus 3. Add 2 to both sides. Q equals 2 plus or minus 3, which is 5 or negative 1. 2 plus 3 is 5, and 2 minus 3 is negative 1. So those are our answers. You should be able to work out most of the rest of these on your own. There's a couple hard ones, but you can do them. And I'll answer any questions you might have tomorrow.